Okay, I've got a deep question for you.
All right, hit me.
What are you like when there is conflict in a relationship? Do you ever get upset and yell or like say anything like hurtful?
No. First of all, I can't physically yell.
Okay.
But also, I grew up with a really angry dad, and that's never who I want to be. Instead of getting like mad or violent, I get very logical.
I like that.
Yeah. What about you?
I've been in some like pretty brutal situations that I'm really proud of myself that I handled in like a very calm way.
Yeah.
Like I was cheated on with someone that I was living with.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we lived together for 2 years, and like I saw some texts, and it was really bad, but we figured it out.
You guys stayed together?
No, we didn't.
Are you the type of person that like you need that emotional connection with someone before you can have a physical connection?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say I'm that way too.
that's good.
Yeah. Like I'm not like a first date kisser.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, I'm really not. I do think physical affection and sex is an important part of a relationship. I really enjoy that part of a relationship because I think it's just like fun, and like I feel like it's a really good like connection. But I like come from like a very religious background. I think I've talked to you about that. But
Yeah.
So like the topic of sex has always been really taboo for women and girls in the church. There was just a lot of shame around it, and like very embarrassing to think about, very embarrassing to talk about. Like you just were not like allowed to like, you know, be, you know, a human in that regard.
All right, so like I said, I like the premise of this show where you're getting to know someone before you physically get to see them. I like that aspect of the show. That's probably the only thing I like about the show. Based on what I've seen so far, it just ended up being like Married at First Sight. Right, once you get out this part of the experiment. But the question she asked about, or the question he asked about, what do you like when you guys have a disagreement and stuff like that? That's very important. Because if you're a type of person who likes to yell every time you guys have a disagreement or you're upset about something, I couldn't deal with that. So I'm glad they aligned on that. But the part where she said I can't physically yell, I'm like, what triggered that? Was it something from her childhood? Because one thing that was not in this clip, she said her parents had a drug issue. And when she was young, she said it's either going to be the drugs or me. And they did not choose her, which I was like, oh, wow. So there's already trauma there from that. But as far as like the sex part, let that part of the conversation. So I never heard a guy say I need a mental connection with a woman before I sleep with her. I never heard that before. So I don't know if he's saying that for the cameras or he's saying that to continue the slow relationship that he has with Madison in this clip. But I've always heard a lot of women say that they need a mental connection before they can have a physical connection. So that part, I will believe her. I do not believe him. So take that for what it's worth. But I did like how she said that's the most important, not the most important part, but it's an important part of the relationship and it's fun. So I did like that aspect of the conversation.
Again, Love is Blind, which is just normal dating. Let's get to know each other. So take that for what it is. Now, with these two here, Alex and Madison, I like that they're talking about things that do matter, okay? I would say take note, somebodies, because these are the questions you should be asking, whether they're doing it over the phone, but you need to ask these on the first date even, because you need to figure out if it's going to be worth your time. Like, some of these questions, if for some reason my marriage didn't work, I'm not saying it's not, but if it didn't, these are the questions I would ask if I wanted to jump into a relationship again, because now knowing between two marriages with me that these are things that matter to me. Like the first one is, if you're in an argument, do you get mad, or whatever the question was, the first one. And I want to know that now. Like, do you lose your cool? Because I don't. I keep the same level of voice with me And my wife doesn't. She gets, I will say, animated and excited if she feels she's not getting her point across or not being heard properly. So that is important to me, because my wife sometimes tells me, because you're just keeping level, you just let me go off, and it makes me look bad. Like, I don't ever want to say I'm doing this, but that's neither here nor there. So that's an important one. Now again, with the first kiss, I like to kiss on the first date if it's gonna happen. I mentioned before, when I met my wife, I was gonna kiss her in the mouth the first time I kissed her. She gave me the cheek, but 20-30 minutes later I got there. Okay, but okay, it's not as important now, but I like that question. And of course, Jay alluded to it, the sex question, which back then, I mean, I've had 2 marriages that were connected with sex, okay? My first marriage, I married the woman that took my virginity, if that's still how people say it. And my current marriage, I married the woman that we had sexual chemistry. So we were partaking in more than enough of that activity. And so sex was connected to it. Now, I see more so I'd rather have that emotional connection. So that I kind of understand now, because I'm realizing when you choose the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life, it's going to be about the connection, because some people encounter that their body just isn't able to perform that activity anymore, but you're with the person that you're connected with, you have chemistry with. You can just sit there, talk, laugh, whatever the case. And especially with me, the connection you're going to have that I give is with humor. That's who I am. I'm going to try to make you laugh as often as possible. And Jay can attest to that, okay? He can concur. That's how I am. So I like all these questions. And yes, please ask these. Now, I understand what Jay said, that he's never heard a guy, up until what I just said right now, mention that he needs that mental connection to have sex, okay? That even I know that's a little hokey, okay? It could be for the camera. Again, 2 marriages here with sex. I didn't need a mental connection. I got one much later, but it doesn't start that way. And it sucks because Madison said she had trauma with her dad when it came to the question of if you raise your voice. So I'm glad that she broke the chain, because that's not easy. I know that's why I give leniency to my wife when that happens, because that's what she grew up with. She grew up watching the women in her household, and there was a lot of them with her grandma, mom, and aunt, and that's what she saw. So it sucks that she didn't break that, but I understand it. Now, do I stand for it? No, not always. Again, I talk about taking breaks when this happens, so that's why we take breaks. But kudos to these 2. They're getting to know each other on this unique show called Love is Blind. Bunch of hooey.